In this video, we will discuss plyometric training program design. Now, it's important to note that plyometric exercise prescription is similar to resistance and aerobic exercise prescriptions in that mode, intensity, frequency, duration, recovery, and progression should all be included in the design of a sound plyometric training program. The first step in plyometric training program design is to perform a needs analysis, something we've talked about when we discussed both aerobic and resistance exercise training program design. Next, we'll talk about the mode of plyometric exercises used in the program. Then we'll break those down into primarily lower body versus upper body exercises. We'll discuss intensity next, followed by simultaneous discussion of frequency and recovery, followed by volume. And although we will not spend a great amount of time talking about program length, most plyometric exercise training programs are 6 to 10 weeks in duration, and these typically occur in addition to the athlete or individual's existing resistance and/or aerobic exercise training program. And finally, we cannot forget about the importance of progressive overload. So applying the principle of progressive overload to plyometric training, which results in a systematic increase in frequency, volume, and/or intensity, or some combination of those variables, is going to maximize the effectiveness of the training program. So as part of the needs analysis, the strength and conditioning professional may perform a pre-training evaluation of the athlete or individual. So to properly design a plyometric training program, the needs of the athlete must be analyzed by evaluating his or her sport position, and training status. Each sport and position has its own unique requirements, including the movements involved and also distinctive injury profiles and risk. Further, each athlete possesses a unique training status. Some athletes may be new to plyometric exercise, and some athletes may have previous injuries resulting in the modification of a plyometric training program. Now, each of these populations of athletes requires a different approach to plyometric training. So we talk about some components that may make up the pre-training evaluation. Initially, it was suggested that muscular strength be an important component here, meaning that only athletes who can squat more than 1.5 times their body mass should perform plyometric exercises. However, we now appreciate that proper technique is a much more important consideration as opposed to muscular strength. For those heavier athletes that weigh greater than 220 pounds, it's recommended that they not perform depth jumps off of a box from greater than 18 inches in height. And before incorporating any plyometric drill into an athlete or individual's training program, the strength and conditioning professional must demonstrate proper technique to the athlete. So this includes proper landing technique, which is going to be essential to prevent injury and improve performance in lower body plyometric exercises. So if we talk about proper landing technique, you see that here. This female athlete has her shoulders in line with the knees, placing the center of gravity over the body's base of support. If we look at her from the front, the knees are over the toes, therefore avoiding excessive inward or valgus movement, which increases the athlete's risk of suffering some lower extremity injury, including injuries to the knee. Also part of this pre-training evaluation, the strength and conditioning professional may perform a number of balance tests. And it's important that these balance tests are performed on the same surface used for any plyometric drills to be incorporated in the athlete's training program. And for each one of these balance tests that you see here in this table, the position is going to be held for 30 seconds. So for example, an athlete that is new to plyometric exercise, they may start off with kind of double leg standing, transition to single leg standing, again holding that for 30 seconds in each position. Over time, as they have a higher training status, they may transition to doing a quarter squat on both legs versus a single leg. But however, an athlete who is considered advanced training status in terms of plyometric exercise, ideally that athlete should be able to hold a half squat on one leg in order to perform a high intensity plyometric training program. We also have to ensure that we have the appropriate equipment and facilities. This includes training space to perform the drills safely and effectively, including landing surfaces. So ideally the surfaces would be grass or rubber mat, so not concrete or not a wood floor. Making sure that the ceiling is high enough to perform exercises such as box jumps. And also, if we're going to do any bounding or hopping exercises, to make sure that we have sufficient straightaways. If we're doing anything with a box, we want to make sure we use a sturdy box with a non-slip top. Here's some examples down here of various boxes and platforms with a non-slip top in various heights. And here you see some from Rogue of the kind of a padded box ranging in height from 6 inches upwards to 24 inches, and they can be stacked on top of one another. And here's a traditional wooden box from Rogue that, depending on what side it is turned on, ranges anywhere from about 20 inches to 30 inches in height. We also need to ensure that the athlete is wearing proper footwear that provides sufficient support and stability. And finally, supervision is going to be key here in order to ensure proper technique of these physically demanding plyometric exercises. Let's move on to the mode next. Now, lower body plyometrics are appropriate for virtually any athlete and any sport. Direction of movement varies by sport, but many sports require athletes to produce maximal vertical or lateral movement in a short amount of time. So a basketball center is an example of an athlete who would benefit greatly from a plyometric training program, as a center is required to jump repeatedly for rebounds. Lower body plyometric training gives the player the ability to produce more force in a shorter amount of time, therefore allowing a higher jump. So types of lower body plyometric drills include jumps in place, standing jumps, multiple hops and jumps, bounds, box drills, and depth jumps. And you see descriptions of each one of these lower body plyometric drills within this table. And over here are links to various videos that are associated with the National Strength and Conditioning Association, really showing the various lower body plyometric drills in action. And these are the same videos that can be found on the Canvas page. So some examples of lower body plyometric exercises can be seen here with the depth jump, where the athlete starts in a standing position on top of a box. They step off the box, and again, they're not jumping off the box, but stepping off the box, landing with both feet on the ground, and then with a very quick delay or short delay, they are using a counter movement and jumping explosively as high as possible. To increase the intensity here, the athlete may perform a depth jump with lateral movement. So in this example, the female athlete is going to step off the box. Immediately, as soon as her feet contact the surface, the coach standing in front of her is pointing in one of two directions, with the athlete as quickly as possible landing and then exploding forward or laterally in that given direction. Now, rapid, powerful upper body movements are requisites for several sports and activities, including baseball, tennis, golf, and various throws in track and field. So plyometric drills for the upper body are not used as often as those for the lower body, therefore have been studied less extensively, but they are nonetheless essential to athletes who require upper body power. So upper body plyometric exercises include a variety of medicine ball throws, catches, as well as push-ups. You see some pictures down here showing examples of upper body plyometric exercises. Some of those are performed alone, others require a partner to assist. And here's a link to videos showing upper body plyometrics. Again, the same videos can be found on the Canvas page. And we can also consider trunk plyometrics as a kind of subcategory of upper body plyometric exercises. With trunk plyometrics, as we see here with the 45-degree sit-up, the movements are shorter and quicker to allow stimulation and utilization of the stretch reflex. So plyometric intensity is the amount of stress placed on muscles involved, connective tissues, and joints, and is controlled primarily by the type of drill performed. In addition to the type of drill, several other factors affect plyometric intensity. Those are shown here within this table, including points of contact, speed, height of the drill, as well as body weight. So generally, as an intensity increases, volume should decrease. So keep that in mind as we talk about plyometric training volume in the upcoming slides. So one easy way that we can think about increasing the intensity of a lower body plyometric exercise is performing, let's say, a double leg vertical jump, as we see here. Jumping up as high as possible using the counter movement here to propel the body upward. And then as the athlete becomes more advanced, maybe transitioning to a more intense lower body plyometric exercise, an example of that being the single leg vertical jump.